Welcome to the Startups Roundtable podcast, where we discuss the science and art of startups with founders and the broader startup community. I'm Tony Hackett, and I've spent over a third of my B2B sales career either working for early stage startups or as a go-to-market and social selling mentor for founders and their teams. In each episode, we will explore various topics, including decision-making, team building, and growth strategies. Before we meet today's guest, I'd like to start with an acknowledgement of country. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet. Here in Sydney, it's the Gadigal people. We pay respect to elders past, present, and emerging, and extend our respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people attending today. My guest at the Startups Roundtable is Noty CEO and co-founder Natalie Marina. Noty's real-time meeting transcription software increases the productivity of professionals and teams by automating online meeting note-taking and notes exchange. On today's podcast, we will hear about this exciting innovation and hard-earned lessons in building a startup from within Ukraine. So let's get to it and meet Natalie. Natalie, thanks for joining me on the podcast. Could I ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're up to right now?
Sure. Hi all. My name is Natalie. I'm a CEO and co-founder at Noty. Noty, we're building AI-powered virtual meeting assistant that is doing all routine work for you, detecting what to do before the meeting, during the meeting, and after it. So basically, we're focusing on detecting of action items and tasks, and we are also drafting follow-up. So basically, eliminating that routine task from your workflow. Personally, I had interestingly, I worked at PwC for 7 years as a legal and compliance officer. Then at some point of time, I decided that I want to build something that will be helpful. And I was seeing that I have in my head, there were millions of ideas that was coming to my mind. But specifically, especially when the COVID started, I was thinking about, meetings are super unproductive. I'm spending 100% of my time in meetings, and sometimes there's such a waste of time. Maybe there is a way of solving it. So basically 3 years ago, I started my entrepreneurial journey. I met my co-founder at acceleration program in our Ukrainian Catholic University. And that's when we started working on our first product. In a process with all the startup failures and successes, we pivoted working on Noty. So at the moment we are trying to make our vision real. So building Noty every second day, and with every free minute we are having. That would be it.
Natalie, it's a great introduction for us, and something that maybe it's just so much part of your everyday now is the challenges that you have in just existing. Could you give us a little bit of context around what that last 6 months has been like for you personally and running a startup, getting a startup underway? Before we get into the technology and the business value you deliver, I'd really like to understand the personal side of your existence.
Would not be surprising, but last 6 months probably are the hardest period of in our lives. We back in the days, we started spending more time in Europe starting from December. So we were pretty much all the time here building a startup, but we were planning to come back on the 1st of March. As people that were living in Europe at that moment with my co-founder, we didn't feel the pressure and the tensions that our Ukrainian colleagues and families were feeling, and we actually didn't believe until the morning of 24th of February. We didn't believe that actually something is coming. So it was something, it may start anytime, but we didn't see it as such a danger. We didn't feel it, I would say. I remember vividly, as probably all of the Ukrainians around the world, the morning when your friends or family were calling you saying it started, just this simple few words that were terrifying you. And we woke up here in Lisbon planning actually to go a few days after it to coming back to Ukraine. And then I remember my friend was calling me saying probably you should wake up because Kiev is being attacked. Call your parents. My parents are living in Kiev, in the city center near president administration. So I was just like, obviously, the next minute I was calling my mom, asking if they already like woke up, if they're like packing themselves and try like getting out of Kiev. At the moment, I just had my sister just gave a birth to my nephew who was 2 months, and I was worried as well, because it was like, first of all, it was something new for them. Obviously, like a kid could not be right, like the easiest to be with a newborn child is not the easiest time like for parents as well. But here, like they were at such a like a stress, because at the moment on 24th, like people started leaving Kiev, and there were a lot like big lines and people were waiting. It was double like hard for the young parents to do it with a newborn child. Well, they moved out of Kiev and was spending time in Western Ukraine. We were staying here, obviously like worried about them, because this missile strikes were happening every second day. So it wasn't the easiest time for us. Plus, we had developers that joined our team in February, starting February, and his daughter was born on the 24th of February. So I can't imagine what he was feeling when he was becoming a father. At the same time, needs to think of like, where do I take my family so they would be safe? What I was really impressed with, not for a single day he stopped working on a product. He was always trying to meet the deadlines. We were not pushing, saying, guys, just make sure you're safe right now. I was impressed with that. I was impressed with the strength he was showing, resilience. It was like, it is something still that I cannot understand. Like, I obviously am amazed with that. Last but not least, 3 weeks ago, as you may know, Vinnytsia was city near Kiev was attacked, and my parents are working there. So basically, the medical center of my mom was up, like the ones that you saw on the pictures in the news, was absolutely destroyed. And at the moment, so this is like a kind of sad and funny story at the same time, because I was on an investor call, and I start getting like tons of notifications from my friends asking how was my mom, and I didn't get like what's going on. I was actually feeling like very cool, because I saw like, okay, I'm getting these cool messages from my friends, right? This should be something good. But then it appeared that Vinnytsia had they were striking the missiles at Vinnytsia, and then I saw a picture of the clinics, as my mom is doctor, and I saw like clinics she's working that was absolutely damaged. And I started obviously calling her at the same moment, and she didn't pick up for 10-15 minutes. I would say that it was like the worst moment of my life, because I still didn't know if she was there at the moment, or she get a chance to get out of it. Thanks God, I'm feeling super lucky about it, but she was working in another building at that day, but obviously all her colleagues working there that day died. And this is like a huge, this is something that is not directly impacting your life, but when you're losing someone you knew for all your life, you were working with, this is something that you just cannot just accept it and live with it, because there is a huge sadness, and some the other thing, you cannot do anything about it, right? You just you cannot stop, but at the same time you cannot stop this feeling of sadness and anxiety that is obviously taking your head, that is sitting in you. So that's what we are doing last 6 months. Just trying to first of all never stop, understanding that stopping for us even for a moment, first of all, it's not good for your mental health. So we are trying just to keep working even if it's hard. We are trying to support each other just as we can, right? Some of us can be volunteering in Ukraine. Some of us can be donating money. All of that is good. We are trying just to support with whatever we can do from here, from Lisbon, and just be when our just talk with our employees or like the team if they want to talk about something, if there is something bothering them, if we can do anything for them. That's I think for all Ukrainian founders, it's actually it's a good time now to understand that there is no way for us to stop it, because like the war will eventually end up, hopefully sooner better, but we will be the one who will be rebuilding the country, and looks like we will have lots of stuff to rebuild, right? So that means that we are like double motivated from others, because we know that there are bigger mission other than building the product. There is bigger mission for that, right? Creating new jobs, helping families, donating money to Ukraine. That's the thing that is motivating me and my co-founder probably every morning to wake up and just like keep on going.
Natalie, thank you for sharing that. As difficult as I can't even imagine, but I think it's important to understand your situation, but also context, because it's one thing to wake up each day and think we have challenges in just doing our job in the best of times. Then there are other challenges in front of you. So as we start to discuss Noty and what you're doing there, that gives us a remarkable backdrop, which speaks to your own mindset and your resilience. And I do, like everybody, wish speedy, better days and for more joyous moments. I'm so pleased that your mother was able to enjoy the fortunate outcome. I'm so pleased for your family. I must say, when I looked at your company and I was looking at what Noty is doing, I loved one of the testimonials where somebody said, and it's on your website, and I'll just read it because it's so simple but powerful. Had no idea how much I needed it, and then I tried. And that to me was almost the best testimonial, because it speaks to tangible business value. And as I was looking at what you're doing, I'd love to understand how you went from the moment of thinking, this is what we're going to do. We're going to provide this real-time meeting transcription and bring this great efficiency, but to go from thinking that's a good idea to taking that step from your job at PwC and to actually go and invest your time, energy, future into doing that. What was that moment like where you thought, yep, time to go from thinking about it to doing? And what were the early days of that process for you?
When you ask that, I'm always remembering my first speech after 2 months of legal, this like first accelerations that we went through. And I remember vividly that when I was pitching, I didn't know what hackathon means. I was not sure what business model is. I was not sure how JavaScript is different from Java. And all the questions that our judges were asking me, I'm always trying to pretend I know everything, but honestly, I didn't like even know what hackathon. So I remember I was Googling what hackathon means. And the thing is like, we probably like not from the guys from the tech, because they have like a little bit of understanding like what is code and how does like the technology work, right? For me, when I was taking care of legal privacy stuff, compliance at PwC, and it was like kind of enterprise level company, right? So it was like so different, especially for my position, right? And then I'm going to build a product with the technologies that I don't know like what technology specifically it would be, and I'm building something that is like actually not super present on the market. And as you said, from the testimonials, we are getting that feedback like super often, because like we were as I'm like trying to think now about our main competitor at the moment is actually the human habit of making do it like all we are doing right now manually. So I was 3 years ago it was like different me with not understanding what code is, what technology we're gonna build it. But I was like I'm very good at Googling, was back in the days and now am. And I was like, okay, this looks like we can build it. Who I need here is a good CTO who will help me and say, honestly, Natalie, you are like crazy, or yeah, we can do it. Maybe not specifically this day, but we can do it in the future. So I was very fortunate to find my Noty CTO at the first, I'm calling it a Cinderella story, because it was the first time I was actually going out into the world, like looking for the CTO, and I met him for my first attempt. Then obviously we spent like probably 6 months just like trying to see if we can work together, like because like especially back in the days. Now I think I'm more agile and flexible, but back in the days I was having this legal mindset, was seeing all the risk, trying to be not too bold, because that's what I was taught for 7 years in the university, and it worked as well. And I was also like meeting with guys that were building stuff, that were thinking in systems that were much more ahead technology wise, and like I would say like their visionary wise than me. And I was like, okay, yeah, I think like this is probably going to work. We just need to know how to do it. So first we built a voting system together that was working as that was our first product for the legal meetings, and it worked for the NGOs and political parties when you are having lots of participants and all of them needs to vote in a legal way that will be then accepted by the state, let's say, and it would be valid. The results of votes will be valid. So we built it that was our first product. We failed a bit, as all startups do, and I think this is probably like the best thing that happened to us, because we were very biased when building the product. I personally thought that I know what the problem is, as they are saying in the books, and it's like so true. Go to your users first, ask your customers what they want, and build what they want, not you think it should be, right? Okay, I would say like there are some specific cases when you need to build what you think you should, but that was not the case. We just need to go to the guys and ask like what was that. But like obviously being like so biased because I worked in legal, why shouldn't I know like how we should build it? Well, long story short, we built the product. It served its purpose, but regarding like the users we were targeting, it worked for just another segment of users. We were shocked at the moment, and then see like, okay, this is still like helpful. It's still helping NGOs and state administrations to vote, but it's like it didn't go like as we planned. So we were just accepting that. And the other problems that was like very interesting for us as I was starting, like actually running the meeting in more productive ways. This was like part of the problem, but I was seeing like, okay, still it's not solving the problem. For example, for me to run an investor meeting, because I don't have time, for example, first of all, like be actively involved in a conversation at the same time remembering everything, because you just cannot do it, right? Personally, I cannot run meetings that are more than 1 hour. After 1 hour, I'm starting seeking for a coffee, for something to eat. I'm bored. I don't have attention. I'm feeling very, very overwhelmed with that meeting. And obviously, if this is something important for other people, obviously they would see that the meeting would not be running very effective. So this was the other thing. And what we also heard from feedbacks, probably from most of our users, is still like there is always a person who is making action item list on a meeting. This is probably the most the unhappiest person on that meeting, because like no one, like when this question is coming into the room, like who will be doing that? Everyone is trying to hide. So there is an obvious need to do that, because the reason for meeting is like what we are doing now, what we're gonna do next. So we were thinking, okay, this is like the first obvious direct problems that people are feeling right now. If we can do it at the moment with technology present on the market, and if not, if we can build that technology. And we were honestly answering ourselves yes. And this for the second thing that we are now focusing, like follow up. I don't know how about you, but I'm always struggling with following up on meetings especially when I'm having meetings back to back and you're just like going from one to another. And at the moment you're like finishing your workday, you don't remember what you were talking on the first meeting. And if this was something like investor meeting or something like that, you need to follow up, right? Because like otherwise it's not going to bring any results. So why was the reason you had that meeting, right? And you just can't remember everything, or you will like forget about something. And I was also questioning if we can automate it. And this happens not all for startup founders, right? Whether you are working in a VC as an investor, as well as you're working for a startup, you always have something to follow up on after the meeting. And I was asking if we can actually just like, first of all, like eliminate the step to actually go to your Gmail or whatever mail service you're using and actually start drafting that follow-up. This is like sometimes it's what's stopping me. Okay, like, oh, I need to, but like, and the thing about follow-up is you're all the time starting from the same things, right? You're always like saying, like showing your gratitude for having the call, then you're like saying what you've been talking about, and then you're following up on what you need to do next. Looks like super doable to do. So that's how we were like, starting from the ideation around like, okay, starting from the gathering feedback from users with what's the problem around the meeting, then ideating on, okay, what are the main problems here, right? And we like detected the action items and follow-ups. And second, we were just asking, okay, if we obviously we were very passionate, we're super passionate about what we're building, if we can build it, and it looks like we can, so okay, let's just go and do it, right?
It strikes me as one of the few services that makes a Zoom call more valuable than in person. So over the last couple of years, COVID, work from home, everybody's been missing that person interaction, being able to read the room. But what you bring is a level of efficiency. But here's the other thing I wanted to ask you about, and that is if I'm on a meeting and there's real-time transcription, all of a sudden I feel more accountable in that meeting, and I feel more, to state the obvious, on the record as to my behavior in the meeting. So if I'm wanting to posture and to be unfair, I'm not going to do that in a real-time transcribed meeting. And I don't know if that was a planned consequence or if I'm way off track on it, but I could imagine that this drives better meetings.
This is like super interesting. Why? First of all, I was talking, I personally did more than 500 in-depth interviews. So I was talking with lots of guys in different industries, different level like of their like jobs and responsibilities, and was asking if this is like, actually, let's say that the meeting is recorded, if this is having impact on what you're saying, are you trying like to, okay, will you be like more accountable with what you're saying? Like, will your answers or will your behavior change from it? And like the answer was all the time yes. People are not feeling themselves like very comfortable in a meeting when they are recorded, even if the meetings are internal. It doesn't depend if this is like something that is with a new client or internally. People are just like feeling not very secure or like just not comfortable when the meeting is being run. So for us at Noty was like what was very like crucial from the day one. It should work on a background and you should not like be paying attention for it. So what we are like, how we are positioning ourselves and thinking about Noty. Noty should be your body, just like the secretary, but invisible, that is joining you on every meeting, whether it's online, offline, or metaverse in the future. He's just doing the things you don't have time to do. That's like our main thing, right? It's like people are recording now, how people are also solving the problem of unproductive meetings. They are recording it on a phone, so you cannot see it. That's like very super counterintuitive, right? Like, cause you need that functionality. You just don't want to share something, because like maybe it will impact on what the other person will be saying. But for the business professional, it means that, okay, I'm going to record this meeting, then I'm going to play it back, listen to it, then make notes manually. And we're just asking ourselves if there is a way for us to make it better, right? Because you are recording that meeting, not because you want to record it. You want to make your work more efficient. You don't want to forget stuff. You want to be more productive from the very beginning now and for the future roadmap. We are saying that we will work on a background. We will not interrupt your workflow. We just want to advance it. We want to help you before the meeting, because the meeting transcriptions, summaries, action items are stored in your personal account during the meeting, because you can because all of this stuff will be detected. You can also make your manual highlights, for example, something specific that you still don't trust AI that it will highlight it. Okay, highlight it manually, no problem there. And after the meeting, because we will show it to you, remind you to follow up on the meeting, prepare follow-up for you. And that's you see, we're just trying to help, not change everything or make it more complicated, just help you on every step while you're running your traditional daily business operations. Actually, that's very important for us, as the other challenge, I think probably for all the products that are new on the market, you are competing with a human habit. It's not easy. And to do that, I think the only way to do that is to build the trust with the product. Because that's why we are starting with this simple principles. It should be intuitive, simple to use, working on a background, not making life of your users more complicated, but just helping wherever they need that help.
Natalie, there are so many things you've triggered in my mind around the efficiencies. I understand, but it feels like I'll give you some examples of things that you've made me think about just in the last few minutes. Diversity and inclusion. If I'm in a meeting and I'm one of 5 people and I see a transcript of it and I see that I have spoken for 15 minutes of the 30 minutes and that I've asked no questions, that tells me something about my behavior in that meeting. And it maybe is a coaching tool, but there is something incredibly valuable in understanding the behavior to give the opportunity to adjust the behavior. And from that diversity and inclusion perspective, for everybody to have an equal voice. We could all leave a meeting and think everybody participated, we collaborated, we're a team, but the data might show that is not the truth. So there's something that is very next generation about efficiencies and collaboration of teams, I think, that offers here both internally, so intra-company, but also intercompany.
Tony, so true. We are now showing, for example, the percentage, of who, exactly what you're saying. If you were talking for 70%, for example, for me, of the time on investor calls, it's a bad sign. If I'm seeing that analytics, I'm feeling okay, this looks like there were no questions for me. So probably not that efficient call, as I thought. For example, for the internal meetings, exactly. If you're right, what you can get from that analytics, you can see if maybe there is a person who was visiting, who was attending the call for a month and she never asked a question. Maybe this person should not be on that meeting. Maybe she's joining because you are sending her an invite. It's some of the teams are trying now to focus and run it efficiently, but sometimes, especially when you're in a big companies, enterprises, people are just adding a group of people to the meeting and all of them are suffering there. They're not doing not spending that time for the work, but not obviously actively participating in a call. So that's what we also will give to the users. Okay, this maybe for this diversity inclusion things you're saying, some people just don't like to speak up first, and it's it's all good. We even in our small teams, there are people that are always tend to and the last, and that's okay. Just make sure that you are asking that person, because she especially when it comes to tech, there are people that are tend to work more speak less. That's okay. Just make sure that you are actually giving like chance to speak their mind. And the cool things that we also like have now built in a product is we're going to send you a report of how meeting was run. So you will see like who was your meeting buddy of the week. Okay, there is a person you are meeting like the most. These are the words that you are using the most while you speak. Maybe you should think about them changing, because like we are using different parasites when we're talking, right? It's problem of everyone. So we are just trying to make sure that and these are like the most recent and most popular topics, like what you've been talking about. You can share it, you can look at it, you can make like any amendments to your meeting behavior or work with that. And we are seeing that. And what we also gonna do, we're gonna push people to follow up on meetings. This is like something that would be, I will test on myself first, because I always lack this person who will just be like standing, here, like over my head, just like reminding me, Natalie, like don't forget to follow up and follow up immediately. This is like the things we will be just trying, first of all, to give you superpowers in the meetings, and then push you to do that, so you become better at work, better business professional, etc. That's our main goal for now.
You made a comment a moment ago. One of the notes I put down in thinking about our conversation today was around readability. So if we're reading a document, we can, by the science of it, work out the readability of that document. Is it easy to comprehend the document? In a meeting, the meeting passes and it's all words and no one knows. Yet now you can determine the readability of different people. Are they using appropriate language, or are they bringing the wrong language? And once again, another coaching moment in areas that in the past have been left totally subjective. Somebody thinks, oh, you deliver a great message. Did you? Whereas now we can all incrementally improve based on what it is you're doing. So I think it's just so interesting what you've tackled and what you're doing with Noty and how you're going about it. I would love to go into more depth, and we should set up another call with your permission to look into this further. But for today, could I ask you to close for us with a comment around mentors and coaches, maybe a comment or two around how you've been able to find great mentors or coaches, and how would you suggest to an early stage startup, if they were looking for a coach or a mentor, how they would go about it?
We met our we have like I would say like board of advisors, right? But like some of them are like advising on business, like just on a business side, and some of them are already our friends that were with us like for this last 3 years. And personally, I don't know if we will make it without them, right? Because like when you are looking for the coach, or you are looking for a mentor, or like just a body that will be with you on your entrepreneurial path, you need to understand that first of all, it's hard. This is like running, like living startup founders life, taking all the risks, and being as like keeping on being motivated every day. This is very, very hard. I don't know if I will make it as a solo founder. Thanks God, I have my co-founder. But from the mentor's perspective, the mentor we got 3 years ago was just on a we got him on a business acceleration program, and this was actually the thing when we need to pick up probably like 2 or 3 mentors. And with each of them, we had a 30 minutes call scheduled. And with 3 out of 4, we just had this 30 minutes call. And with the one we are working like that is still working with us, we had a call for 4 hours, and we were talking about like nonstop about what we have now, what we're gonna do tomorrow, what's our visionary, what's important for us in life, and that that was the moment when you are feeling like the match. It clicked. You're just feeling that this is like the person just like-minded as you. You're having, let's say, same vision, but also like same things are important for you, and you're sharing this, like you're just having it, like it's like a soulmate you're finding, but just like for business, I would say. So we felt it, and I know that our mentor, who's like Madi, he is from London. We were feeling like it clicked from the first meeting, and it was clicking all this like 3 years. And I know that in the moment of like the biggest despair, and when we were down, when I was like, I didn't know if I'm gonna make it, especially now when I was in stress, I know he is like the person who I can call anytime, talk about, like ask fair questions. I know that he will give me fair answers, never making everything like sweet or like, but sometimes it's all you need, someone to listen to you, give his perspective on the world. Yes, obviously it then says that it will be all good, but you need, like, people needs people, and that's good. And it's like, I personally, I all the time to all the guys that are starting their entrepreneurial path, I recommend to find like someone who already been there, who built successful product, or even like who failed even 1 or 2 times, doesn't matter, but who was there, who can pick you up when you will feel like, okay, we're shutting down company tomorrow, who'll say, okay, let's talk about it, right? You just need that person. So my recommendation would be, if you have specific focus, for example, we are building product that is focused on future of work, AI, productivity, look into who was doing it successfully before. LinkedIn probably is the best way to find it. If you are into those themes, you probably are reading all the articles, essays around it. So just look, and don't be worried to just message those people. They like to share their expertise. The more like the more like intelligent person is, the more likely she will just give you her advice, his or her advice, and will help you. So don't be afraid, just go for it. And I think like it's one of the coolest things around it.
That's a wonderful share, and thank you. There's some really actionable advice in there. Appreciate you sharing that with the audience today. Natalie, thanks so much for taking the time. I want to say I wish you well with your business, and I do, but I wish you well with everything that isn't your business. So many things that are going on for you, families and friends, and speedy better days. But I definitely do wish Noty every success, and it'd be terrific to stay in touch. Appreciate you taking the time today.
Pleasure talking to you. Thanks for cool questions. Everything will be great.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Feedback is always welcome, and I would appreciate introductions to potential future guests to invite onto the podcast. But that's it for today. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.